Everyone, this is Devansh. I'm going to train you on issue management. During this course, we will cover what is risk, what is issue, what's the difference between risk and issue, what is an issue log, what are the components of issue log, how to do issue management, various ways of doing issue management. One is DMAIC, which is from Six Sigma, and we will have a practical look how a issue log looks like. Now, the reason why we are capturing or why we are spending a minute on risk is risk and issues, they both go together, right? So let's look into what risk is. Risk is a kind of, it's a potential of losing something that we value. It is a scenario which is uncertain. It's a scenario which is based on assumptions and guesses, right? Risk is an uncertain event or a condition. If that occurs, it may have a positive or a negative impact on the project. So basically risk is whenever we leave something to happen by chance or by a little magnitude of chance, it causes risk. When our chance of success depends upon something which we cannot completely control, right? When our chance of success depends upon something that we cannot completely control, that is the risk scenario. Now, risk is always something which is happening in the future. It's not something which is happening right now. It's something which is happening in the future. So we need to predict what are the scenarios in our current project that may have a risk factor. For example, if I'm running a project, let's say I'm constructing dam, I need 1,000 people, but getting 1,000 people at a particular location is not easy. So that human resource could be a risk, right? Let's say I'm running an IT project or it's a team of 10, but 2, 3 of my potential resources, there's a high chance that they will quit because they are not happy for maybe because of certain reasons. So that is a risk. Now, as we have learned what is risk, now what is an issue? Now, in our current scenario, current example which we took, if I'm running an IT project and 2, 3 of my resources are at high risk that they might drop in the project in the future, they might drop in their paper, they might quit in the future. That's a risk because that's in the future. What if now we have started running the project and these 3 resources have now put down the paper? Now my risk has just converted into an issue. So something that is happening right now, that is an issue. So risk is something which is in the future. Issue is something which is now. A risk changes into issue, right? Not all risk changes into issue, but some risk might change into issue. The very classic example just that we shared, right? What we predicted has actually happened. So for risk, as that is in the future, we need to predict, right? But when if we can predict, we can also mitigate that, right? We can actually mitigate a risk, if not completely, partially. So that is why there are certain factors which differentiates risk and issue. So if we take a look, risks are uncertain because that's we are predicting that might happen in the future. May happen, may not happen. Even if it happens, it might not happen with the magnitude that we predicted. Issues are certain because that is happening right now. Something has gone wrong right now. Something has deviated from our plan, right? So as risk is in future, we predict, right? We predict what is the probability, right? What is the probability? 5%, 10%, 100%, not 100%, 5%, 10%, 95%. What are the chances of that happening? Issue is always 100% because that has just happened. We don't predict an issue, we identify an issue, right? Now, risk can have a positive or negative impact. Issues always have a negative impact. Now, this is issue trading, but let me give you an example of what could be a positive effect of a risk. Let's say we predicted that we will produce, there will be a demand of 1 lakh Volvo cars in uh, in XYZ geography, in a particular city, let's say Kansas City, 1,000 cars. in the month of January. But what happened? The demand increased to 2,000 car. But as we had predicted that the demand will be 1,000 car, we actually manufactured only 1,000 car. Now that has become now that was a risk, because what we had predicted, it was all, there was always a chance of risk that the demand might go up, might go down, right? Now, what has happened? The demand has actually increased, so it's a positive. It's a positive impact. But the negative is we manufactured only 1,000 cars, so we are not able to meet the demand. Okay. Now, as risk is in future, risk has a mitigation plan. We cannot mitigate an issue because issue needs to have an action plan, because we need to act upon it right now, right? For risk, we create a risk register. For issue, we create an issue log. Some people call it issue register as well, but more famous name for issue is issue log. An issue log is a document, and more or less people make issue log using 90% cases they use MS Excel. Sometimes they also use MS Project. Even Jira you can use to log in your issues, right? I'm not getting into detail because now you have a very clear idea. You will understand it more when we will actually do the practical on issue log. Now, issue log has certain components, like you need to capture what an issue is, what is happening. Let's say the issue is infrastructure issue, right? Description is the infrastructure is getting down very frequently. Categorize it, whether it's the infrastructure issue or it's a human resource issue, whether it's a project management issue, or whether it is a facilities issue, right? Or whether it's a security issue. And what we can do is, as I said, issues is something that we need to act upon, and risks are always in future. But what we can have in an issue, when we are creating an issue log or issue register, let's put an indicator. I had predicted that my three resources will actually, they are highly risk resource. They might quit. Now, what I can do is I can add an indicator. If the resource is taking too frequent leaves, this is an indicator that the probability of him leaving is increasing. So as I said, issue is something that we have to act on because it has already happened. But what if just before it actually happens, we have a issue indicator, a warning indicator? Too frequent leaves, that can be a issue, that can be an let's take another example. Infrastructure down, okay? Before the magnitude of the infrastructure goes down, what if we have an indicator that frequent disconnections, right? Before the magnitude increases and it has a severe impact on the project, which is out of control and put my project into risk in red category, what if we have an indicator, right? Three or four times in infrastructure down, that can be an indicator. Now, every issue we need to assign a severity level, how severe it is. On the basis of severity, we also define the priority. The issue is very severe, and I need to categorize at priority 1 because somebody has to resolve it right away. So when we are creating the issue log, we also capture when the issue actually happened. What's the start date? And what is the proposed duration that issue should be fixed? What is the defined timeline around it? If it is an infrastructure issue, what kind of issue it is? Do we already have a predefined TAT, predefined SLA for it? Define the SLA. On the basis of SLA, we will have a resolution date. So issue happened on 1st of January. The TAT for this kind of issue is only 3 days. So 1 plus 3, 4. So by 4th of January, this issue should be resolved. Who is the owner of this? You can either have a name of the owner or you can have a department like IT department. And then if the issue is resolved, write down how did we resolve it, right? If you want to do a documentation, why it happened, who resolved it, how did we get it resolved, status, open, close, ongoing. Why do we need to have an issue log is an important question. When we are creating an issue log, what we're actually doing is we are capturing all the issues that is that is impacting our or the team's performance. Team performance in terms of time, or project loss in terms of time or in terms of dollar value. Let's say the infrastructure is getting down 1 hour every day and it's a team of 10. So I am losing not 1 hour, it's a loss of 10 hours. Let's say each resource cost is $50 per hour. So I'm losing 1 into 10, $500 every day, correct? For 22 days. So 522. You can do the calculation that amount of dollar I am losing every month. So we always need to define the issue, how it is negatively impacting our project, our performance in terms of numbers. More or less, it will be a time, that how much time you're losing. And sometimes you can actually convert the time into dollars. Now, how to do issue management or how to create an issue log. So identify what is the issue, capture its details, assign who is the owner, what is the resolution, like how do we go ahead and fix it, how much time do we have to fix it, so by what time will we have the resolution, documentation around it, are we communicating correctly with the stakeholders about the issue, and what's the status, right? Now, before we jump on to how to create an issue log, let us take a look what is a DMAIC. DMAIC is a methodology by which we actually resolve an issue. DMAIC is from Six Sigma. Now it has 5 steps: define, measure, analyze, improve, control. DMAIC. In define, we actually define what the problem is. We write down the problem statement as clearly as possible, because unless and until we write the problem statement correctly, we will not be able to have the right resolution in place. Right? Then in the next step, we measure what is the magnitude of the problem. How much time we are losing because of this, how much dollar we are losing because of this, what is the negative impact on our performance matrices because of this particular problem, correct? And then analyze, we do an analysis, a deep dive analysis. In IT industry, we call it RC, root cause analysis, that what this problem is all about, why it is happening, right? And there are different ways of doing an RCA. One of the very famous way of doing RC is the fishbone diagram, right? You write down all the possible reasons why it is happening, and write down all the reasons why this is particularly happening and what we can do to actually avoid it and improve. Now, as we have understood what is the problem, what is the magnitude of the problem, what is the impact of the problem, and what is the root cause analysis of it, how do we fix it, right? When we are fixing it, we can actually look into when we were doing the analysis of why the problem is happening, we would have created fishbone diagram or histogram or Pareto. What are the major reasons why it is happening? How do we improve them, right? You can actually brainstorm with your team. You can use a methodology of 6 thinking hats, right? Design experiments, try to understand what are the various ways to fix the problem. Sometimes the resolutions are pretty straightforward. Look for the resolutions which are simple and easy to implement. And then last is control. Now, the reason why we need to control is we need to make sure if we have implemented the resolution, it is supposed to stick there. We need to implement a control layer over our resolution so that it does not happen again, right? If there's a puncture in the bike, you just don't fill the air. You need to actually fix it. That's a control measure. You do make sure that the air is not leaking again. So we fill the air, that is improved, and then we put a control measure over there that air doesn't leak further again. Now let's take a look at the issue log. Now these are the issue components that I was talking about. You write down what an issue is, write down the description, assign a category. If at all, we have a warning indicator. Severity level is usually high, medium, and low. priority, high, medium, low. What's the start date? How many days do we have? Like what's the DAT? What's the SLA? On the basis of the SLA, what should be the issue finish date or the resolution date? Who owns this issue? Write a name of the person, or maybe write name of the department. What's the issue? What's the resolution according to you if you have to fix it, or what's the resolution for the team as per the team, or what's the resolution the IT guys have actually given you? Like why that particular infrastructure was down, correct? Couple of notes if you want to capture how did we communicate with the stakeholders. It is very important that we keep on connecting with our stakeholders, because sometimes stakeholders are under the impression that project does not have any problem, it is going smoothly. But as we go closer to the release date, the stakeholders should not have a surprise that the guys have been losing 2 hours every day because of the infrastructure issue, and now the project is running 7 days late. Right? That kind of scenario should be avoided just by a proper communication with the stakeholders always. And last was status. How do we make sure that all the issues are closed? All right, guys, let's do a capture. What is risk? Risk is something that it's a matter of chance. If you're leaving something for a matter of chance, that's risk. It's always in future. And if it is in the present scenario, something which is impacting our project currently and has to be acted upon, is an issue. We took a look at what is the difference between risk and issue, how to create an issue log, why it is important, components of issue log, how to do issue management, and one of the favorite methodologies are DMAIC method. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you have any question, you can drop me a mail on devansh.chaurasiya@yahoo.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.